Everyone talks about reinventing themselves, but no one talks about how much it actually sucks when you do it. I thought changing my life would feel freeing and empowering, but I can confidently say that it's the hardest thing I've ever done. So let's do some makeup and talk about why shedding your old identity doesn't feel good and why nobody warns you about this part. So since moving earlier this year, I felt like I've been going through a pretty big transformation. I just got signed, which is a huge deal. My strap fell and I have primer on my hands. I got signed, which is a huge deal as a musician, especially pretty early on in their career. So it kind of felt like I woke up one day and I was in a totally different person's skin. And I thought that would feel very freeing when I was in my old place and I didn't like it. But in reality, it feels very foreign and weird. During the process of longing and visualizing and like manifesting, some people will use that term too, we think of it almost like a movie montage, and sometimes we see it in the third person, where things feel like you're living in the end and you're pretending like things are really, really good, but there's an in-between part. Like, it's not like once you decide to change, you're just automatically there. I know I'm not the only one feeling this, so let's break it down a little. I think when you're in the type of transformation where it's all over, from career to your personal life and everything kind of in between, you start to cut off things that you know are not working. And you might feel a level of guilt when doing this. And it creates a level of emotional disconnect from who you were, who you are right now, which kind of feels like a question mark, and where you want to be. Also, I promise this foundation is, I was gonna say, I promise it's not too light, but I think it might be. I mixed two of them, and I think I did a little bit too much of the light one, but I'll try to work it out with bronzer. One of the hardest parts is distancing yourself from old people and habits. More on the people part. Some people are gonna act like you switched up, or they can only meet you as deep as they have met themselves. If they don't align with your future, then suddenly it feels like you're walking around in somebody else's skin. Even if your old life wasn't good for you in the long term, it was familiar, so you hung on to it for a period of time. When you decide to make the change and step into the unknown of things, you don't really have anything to hold on to except the blind faith of what you've been picturing in your head. Life will always life, and things will always be kind of unpredictable. When you outgrow a friend group, which there's nothing wrong with doing, I want to reiterate that a million times. People can just go their separate ways and separate paths, and nothing happened. You just outgrow the connection. And who knows, maybe you'll reconnect down the line. But it's a feeling of knowing that you can't go back, and it feels like you're letting yourself down if you do go back. A lot of people do end up going back though, and they end up stuck in the same place over and over again, but then wondering why things haven't changed. You remember that quote that was like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results? And you have to really examine your actions, because your thoughts can shift a little bit, but it really is the action behind everything that will make or break. But once you really realize that, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing myself a disservice by remaining in this state. It's your future that you're playing with. You're here for a very short amount of time, and you don't really want to play with that time. I remember when I first moved to Florida by myself, I was 19, and I could have gone back home to Massachusetts. And I've also, like, for the record, I've been back and forth between Massachusetts and Florida for pretty much my whole life. I was always kind of like half here, half there. But once I made the jump and I got my first place here, it was a very strong feeling of, okay, there's no turning back now. And I kind of Irish goodbye a little bit. I told a couple of people I was moving, but not a lot of people. Because I didn't really have a lot of people. And that's why I wanted to leave. And guess what? I have even less people here. And I like it. I'm happy with that now. And I'm so at peace with having a smaller circle. I think something we associate with the growth and like self-improvement is the possibility of attracting more people. I know for sure when I started this journey, I thought I was going to be so popular. And guess what? Like I kind of said before, I think I'm like lonelier than ever, but I would prefer it that way. Not everybody has the best interest in mind when they're around you, especially when you are in the midst of something amazing going on. And please hold this near and dear that this doesn't go for everybody. There are very, very good and well-intended people out there who are good with themselves. Comparison is the thief of joy, and in my generation, and it's such a digital age, everybody is comparing everything left and right. I think I had the most friends and people around me when I was at my absolute lowest. And since escaping that time in my life, I've lost an immense amount of people. And a lot of people started getting real weird towards me. Like, really, really weird. But it's freeing to release the need to be around people. It's freeing to release the fear of being seen alone. And my mom always told me that it's lonely at the top, and I'm nowhere near the top, granted, but I'm lucky that I was raised with two parents who have a very entrepreneurial mindset, who were very encouraging of this, and they told me that kind of from the get-go. So I always knew that if things weren't so great in my life, like, you know, maybe financially or career-wise, love life-wise, then I would have a heck of a lot of friends, and I did. You know, new place, relatively new boyfriend. We've been together for about 6 months. New, like I got a label, everything like that. I thought like people, and like this even happened when I first like started getting any kind of following online and I lived back home. People were not nice to me about it. But I was lucky to be in an environment where at least people in school were nice to me. Not a lot of people even knew about it because I had started building up my following when I was in my senior year. And I started working with brands. This was all with the long-term plan of releasing music. And yeah, I don't know why I went on that tangent, but I'm very interested in hearing other people's experiences about this. So let me know in the comments below if you've experienced some absolute weirdo in a time in your life when you were getting better or just leveling up in general. Alas, growing pains are still growth. And if you were meant to stay in one place, then, I mean, that would already happen. You wouldn't even have the thought to move, to grow. And you certainly would not have clicked on this video. Our desires, no matter how big or how maybe extreme they might feel in comparison to where we're at or what we come from, they're not arbitrary. So the discomfort that you might feel with that feeling of being alone, knowing that you can't go back, just proof that the cycle is ending and you've successfully begun to break it. The discomfort of this season in my life is proof that I'm not stuck in the same cycles anymore. And regardless of how lonely it feels right now, the sun will come back up and the right people will be attracted if I keep myself in the mindset that no matter what, I'm getting to where the fuck I want to go. Even if you're in like a waiting phase like I am with waiting to find the right people for you, just know that they are on their way and they're probably in the exact same spot you're in right now. Rejection is only redirection, especially if you are a pretty girl in today's society. Unfortunately, there are people who are not going to vibrate at the level that you do, especially other girls. Unfortunately, like, I don't want to be saying any of this, but it's very true, and I feel the need to get it out there as someone who's experienced this time and time again, who will reject you on the spot just because they have not met themselves as deeply as you have. That's not to like put up any like spiritual egoic thing, like, oh, you're just not like evolved enough. There's something to be said about people seeing your light from a mile away and they have not been able to turn theirs on yet. It's funny, like Jake actually will point out when someone's like literally mean mugging me, and you know what I do? I smile at them. I also realized I completely forgot to contour my nose, so let's do that. I realized my contour stick was actually a little bit warm, so I'm just using like a cool brown eyeshadow from the same palette I did to use I used to do my eyes, and that's the Jeffree Star Orgy palette. And I know this looks a little bit dark right now, but I'm gonna go over everything with the e.l.f. Halo Glow when I'm all done. If you have not tried it, the e.l.f. Halo Glow powder is amazing. I would say it's comparable in how much I love it to the Charlotte Tilbury like setting powder. Of course, the e.l.f. Halo Glow is it's pigmented, whereas the Charlotte one is translucent. I also still have not gotten down the art of a nose contour yet, so I just kind of do it kind of harsh, and then I hope for the best when I smooth it all out. I also forgot my powder contour, but I may as well do it now. I also stopped putting my contour directly on my cheekbone. I used to put it like way up here. And the Pillow Talk blush. This stuff is amazing. Let's do my lashes and my eyeliner. It's really just the wing because I do my bottom eyeliner before pretty much anything else on my eyes. For my lashes, I've been using I think I don't have the original packaging, but I have this that just says Noir Chiffon, but I think they're from Kiss. I get them at Ulta. Also, I'm not sure if any of you have tried the Le Flare Bond Black Glue. This is the best eyelash glue I've ever used. I literally never have to worry about like an inner corner poking up or anything like that. It does get awfully sticky on the lash itself because I reuse my lashes, but as long as you take all the old glue off beforehand, you should be fine. While those get tacky, I'm just gonna do a little bit of the Maybelline Sky High. I have this huge lemonade because the place that I live, they have a lemonade truck that comes weekly. And I got lavender this week, and I think it is my favorite by far. Moral of the story here is no matter what manifestation TikTok will tell you, changing your life around is not always the most glamorous thing. In the end, it will be. But there's an in-between part that I don't feel like is talked about enough, which is where I'm at. And I know I'm not the only one. I've also been in this state before. This is not even my first rodeo with it. I think it's the most intense by far. Which is a great sign for the after part. I also consider it a test a little bit. The industry that I'm entering requires very, very thick skin. All right, let's finish off with my lips. NYX Cold Brew. If you're feeling this, I implore you to pour in that energy that you're feeling into a creative outlet, because that is exactly what I did, and now I have a music career. For the longest time, writing was like my only coping mechanism. And I felt like the only thing that I could turn to besides like a therapist when I was like 5. But if you're in a stage of feeling uncomfortable, and if by chance you feel a calling towards a creative outlet, a lot of people are in the process of waking up to that and just saying, okay, maybe this is just meant to happen. Not the pain. I don't think you have to go through bad things to be a good person, but the catalyst towards what could be a new life for you often lies in what you feel like you need to turn to, not anything bad, of course, because I've been there too and don't want to go back there. But if something suddenly gets removed from your life and you're like, well, I always wanted to take up this one thing, I don't know, maybe it's like archery, or maybe it's like songwriting like me, playing the piano, things have to leave in order to make room. Pour out all of that uncomfortable feeling into a creative outlet, and I promise you it will serve you. And speaking of that, I'm gonna do exactly that right now. I just recorded like a couple things for like TikTok because I've never like sang before on social media. I mean, yes, I'm a musician, that's what I do, but like I've never done anything short form wise, so I'm gonna see how that goes. Not a professional, just someone who's lived a lot of lives. And for once, I'm very happy to be here. So thank you for getting ready with me, and I will see you in the next video.